I would like to call Property Management Committee to order. First order of business is call the roll.
Commissioner Dodd?
Here.
Commissioner Davidson? Here. Commissioner Wilson?
Here.
Commissioner Phillips?
Present.
Commissioner Irvin? Here. Commissioner Johnson?
Present.
Chairman McAdoo?
Here.
Thank y'all.
Next on the agenda, approval of minutes. Vice Chairman Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have read the minutes of the July 25th meeting and find the minutes to be appropriate, so I'd move to approve as written.
Second.
Motion is second. In discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Public comments? No public comments. Okay, next on the agenda is Singer Road property. It's the Chamber of Commerce got a presentation. I think several months ago, we were trying to get a appraisal price on that property. And they got an entire presentation that they would like to give the committee. And basically speaking, it's a way to move forward on advertising that property. So I am going to turn it over to the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everybody. We wanted to come. My name is Paul Latour, President of the Rutherford County Chamber of Commerce, and I have Patrick K. Mack, our Senior Vice President of Economic Development, here too, as well, to help back me up on some technical aspects of the site. Should we get into that? But what we're here tonight to talk about is the Singer Road site, Singer and Florence Road. Really, it's a piece of property that I know Patrick came before you around 6 to 9 months ago to go ahead to allow us the ability to go ahead and put it on our real estate platform to hopefully get some interest from potential companies that would that might have an interest in taking that site, and also with the thought of creating some jobs and some additional capital investment on there. So we're here today to ask you a few things. One, I want to let you know that we have seen some interest in the site. I would say we're not to the point where we're ready to announce anything by any means, or even close to that, but we have had some interest lately where they're going to ask for a few things, which of course are basic. One would be, what's the price of the property, which I know has been discussed a little bit. And then number two, would ask that you guys consider doing approving some additional due diligence things that typically a landowner would do, and that would be in the form of updating a phase 1 environmental study, as well as looking at some core drilling, so some geotechnical reports for that. But one of the, we don't have an exact science, and this is certainly not any kind of thing that's professionally done or market analysis, but based on what we believe this site would bring, or a good price to start would be somewhere around the 200,000 per acre price for the property. I think it's somewhere around 17, 18 acres, Patrick. But that's the point where we are now to be able to start to really have more serious discussions should those occasions arise. And really what we're trying to do is trying to cut down the time at which that we can react to a particular client, so we don't have to go and come before you every time we want to do that. So I want to do that, have some discussions with the mayor's office as well, and they're aware of what we're doing. Eric has been involved, and we've had some help clean up the site. Thank you guys for doing that. But I'll be happy to answer any questions or start the discussion about kind of where we are and where we possibly need to go.
Who wants to start off the discussion? Any questions?
Great question. A couple questions. I noticed, and I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to look at this before. There's a couple things that says if annexed. What's the thought process? Is the thought process to allow Murfreesboro to annex it and then move forward with those aspects, or do we wait until we have a buyer, presumably, and then?
I would suggest to you that we wait until we have a client that wants to establish an operation there and buy the site. It is going to be necessary to annex the site in order to be able to, for them to be served with the Murfreesboro sewer, which is on the road right there, so it's not terribly far or expensive to run there. So that is something that I would recommend I guess we would come back to you guys as it relates to getting, when we get far along enough in the process, but that will be one of the things that we will need to do.
And then the phase one and the core drilling, geotech, and all that stuff. Any estimate on cost for that at this point, or are we too preliminary?
That would have to get some pricing. In talking to the mayor's office, he did indicate that there's already an existing county contract that I guess some engineering companies are on call to do that, but there would be some cost involved. It would just depend on your geotechnical and how many core drillings you actually do. I would do fairly much a basic one to show the different areas where that would make sense where a building might go, and for that, and then a phase one again. Since there was a phase one done on it several years ago, I think 2015, if I'm correct, it needs to be updated so they can have that new information. And that may not be much of a cost because it's already updating an existing phase one. Yes, sir.
Commissioner Johnson?
I've been asked twice in the last week if that property is anywhere in a floodplain, and my answer to them was, I don't know, but I'll find out. So do you know?
Oh, it is not.
I didn't think it was, but.
No, sir.
Commissioner Dodd?
Thank you. Paul, is the spur accessible? Is it functional? Is there any complications or contaminations from allowing the end user to use the spur?
No, that's one of the advantages of the site is rail served, and so if we do get a rail user, which is possible, that's a discussion that they would have to have with CSX to figure out where the appropriate where to build the building, and either they're going to be taking goods out or bringing raw material in. So that's something that definitely we could discuss, and that is an advantage of this site. Yes.
And is the 200,000 that you mentioned, is there anything comparable to this that you could think of?
So if we're looking at yes, we're looking at property, around the Joe B. Jackson area. Some of that property is going for, it's a little higher, I would say, just because it's, I guess, a different area near an interchange and all that. So you're looking at, anywhere from 225 to 250. Realistically, this site could bring something less than 200, but I think 200 is a good place to start. And again, it's not a scientific, and I'm not an appraiser, but if that's something that you wanted to do, you certainly could have that option. But I feel like it's definitely in the ballpark.
Any other questions? Commissioner Johnson?
Just to follow up on Commissioner Dodd's question, as far as contamination or anything, we don't actually have a spur now, so we wouldn't have any contamination to worry about. The railroad track would be responsible right now for anything. Is that correct?
I would assume so. I mean, they own the right of way, so if there's anything that's there, that would be on them.
And I misspoke. I mean, is the title contaminated? That was the wrong word to use. It was not. I used the word. I should have used a better word. But was the title clean, or was the title complicated to access the spur? So it wasn't about physically environmental contamination. It was, is the spur more complicated than we assume? Oh, there's a spur, you can use it. I think there's probably a lot of layers of complicated correspondence with CSX.
The new landowner would actually probably have to work with CSX and work out a plan for whatever they're going to use it for, the rail and how many cars, et cetera. And then they would have to also work out if it's a dedicated right-of-way to CSX or if they own it. But that's something that would be done between those two entities, not the county.
This is a little awkward, but have we, I'll put you on the spot, have we decided to sell it? If you're pitching it, we've given you permission to pitch it, obviously. That doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, we're going to sell it. Again, I'm putting you on the spot. It's awkward. What would be the process? It would come to us, to purchasing, do we even know the process for selling?
And thank you for that. I should have said we have three things to talk about: the geotech, the price, and then also, are you willing to sell it? That's the key thing. I should have been number one. I apologize.
I don't see no reason why we wouldn't put it on the market.
would it go, if we contemplated selling it, would it go to to budget or full commission? Like, what do you,
Go to budget first, and then it would go to the full commission. Am I right, Commissioner Phillips?
and I may be jumping ahead, but
I think it goes wherever we want it to go. There's several different options, this being one of them. So I think it could go anywhere we want it to go. We could even give our county attorney the option of just approving the contract based upon the selling price. So, and then just come back here for informational purposes. There's a lot of things we could do with it. Let me just kind of follow with that, Paul. It's not a question of if this thing will sell, it's just when it'll sell.
Yes, sir.
And we're in no hurry. It shouldn't be that, you know, we're having to move out or anything. So it's
Right.
just, to me, it's just not a question of will it sell, just a question of when it'll sell, correct?
Yes, sir. And I guess I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, if I could ask
Go
another, I don't know how to, what would the process be if we were to get into a negotiation situation? I don't know if you guys want to set a floor or give the county attorney or county mayor the authority to negotiate down to a certain point. I'm afraid that things could move. I've seen these happen before where we get a project in, they say, well, okay, we're ready to move. And so I don't know that sometimes they don't have the luxury of time to be able to come back to this committee and then the county commission. And so I didn't know if there was an opportunity to discuss that as well, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Yep.
well, just one comment, and I hate to speak off the cuff because I could say silly things, but I don't want to be part of 7 to say you can do anything. I think we've got to get to the 21, because there could be 11 commissioners that don't want to sell until 2030 or 2050, or they may say we're holding till whatever. So I just want to be cautious and give you the impression that 7 speak for the 21.
No, I understand clearly.
And I don't know I don't know how to process that from here. So, another thought, I think we need to go to the 21, just again off the top of my head. But I think we almost need to be in executive session with our attorney to talk about maximum price or minimum ask or something. I'm off the cuff here. I wouldn't want to advertise necessarily our floor or,
Exactly. Somebody would tune in the TV and see what we've negotiated. So,
yeah.
I-
Again, that's just,
no, I
that's
appreciate
just
you bringing that up.
off the cuff. So I'd love to hear the other 6.
Commissioner Wilson?
Sorry. Can you hear me now? All right. Good suggestion here from Chairman Dodd and also Chairman Phillips. I think if the chairman could take it to the mayor's office and decide next steps, I think it would be good to discuss it with the full commission. It could be during the committee reports section that we are considering selling this property, just to see if there's any commissioners and other committees that have had their mindset on other uses over time for this property. I feel like I have heard at some point some discussion from others where there's been previous discussion about this property, so I don't know where that is, but I agree that I believe we could take it, send it to full commission. That would give time for the mayor's office to have time to make a suggestion, discuss it on September 12th during the committee reports that we want to sell this. And I like the idea, if it's possible, that's what I think we should ask the mayor's office. Can we have an executive session to discuss price? Because you're right, how do you discuss pricing a property and you don't want to do it openly in public? You'd like to have that. I don't know, we've never done this before. Does anyone know the answer to that at this point?
An executive session deals with legal issues, questions that are asked on legal matters, and then the attorney answers the legal question, and then we have to go back into session to discuss, to deliberate, to do anything along those lines. Can't do an executive session
I didn't think so, but I sure like the idea of keeping those conversations, however we can do that, to ourselves. Maybe it's one-on-one with the mayor where there's no sunshine violation to discuss price, but I agree with that suggestion of not necessarily doing that openly at a low price at this point, but any suggestions would be great.
The only suggestion is for Chairman McAdoo to get with our attorney, Nick Christensen, and the mayor to work out those details. It's
That'd be great.
pretty simple.
Yeah, if that's a motion or a request, I would agree with that.
Also, while I'm talking to them, I guess things I would want to see, maybe looking at the survey, geotechnical study, environmental study, and all that should be brought up in that conversation. And all that information, probably with a cost to do that, be brought back to this committee.
Nobody that I know of has more experience than you. You make that decision.
Okay. Commissioner Johnson?
When I first brought this up way back, everybody got upset. Oh, we don't want to sell this. Well, my point was that we've got a piece of property sitting there. We don't know what it's worth. So I wanted to generate the idea of, or find out what a rough ballpark figure was so we'd know what it was worth. Generate the idea here. Do we want to or do we not want to sell it? Take that to the full commission, let the full commission decide, yes, if we can get at least this amount of money, we can maybe use that money to build, buy the property for a new school or whatever, which we drastically need. That's the reason I brought it up. It wasn't just to get rid of a piece of property, but we know we're going to be buying property, and maybe it makes sense. I know sometimes it makes sense to sit on a piece of property, but when you're buying property and sitting on property, does it make sense? So that was to generate the idea here, take it to the full commission to find out if or not we want to sell it. So.
Another thing we may be looking at, instead of selling, we may be looking at a swap with someone, someone that maybe have some property, like you say, that we need, especially if we're looking at schools. We may be looking at a swap. So all of this probably will come in that conversation. So. Any other questions for the chamber?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I appreciate it, and we definitely will get back with you on the discussion. But I thank you for making that presentation tonight.
Well, you're good with that. We'll follow up with y'all. Is that, that's
Next on the agenda, facilities maintenance report, Director Dodd.
Adam, before you get started, can we kind of finalize what we just said? Mr. Chairman, can you sometime over the next couple of weeks, especially before our next meeting, get with the mayor and our county attorney both, and get ideas? You know, the thought of selling something that we're not utilizing to be able to pay for something else that we are in need, such as the forensic center or that type of thing, is extremely appealing to keep tax properties as low as we possibly can. So the idea of selling it, especially for a certain amount of money, is, I think, extremely appropriate. But the evaluation process as to how much that property should be sold for, I think our chairman, as well as our county attorney, as well as the mayor's office, should be involved in that conversation and bring the recommendation back to us. So we aren't on any particular time frame to do that, but sometime over the next couple of months, if that can happen, I think would be the appropriate. And I don't know if that needs to be in the form of a motion. We can just ask that you do that.
I don't think it needs to be in a form of a motion, but I'm definitely not going to wait a couple of months. I'm gonna have you announce in the next couple of weeks to be brought back to the next property management meeting. That'll be the time frame I'll be looking at. All right. Okay, next, facilities maintenance report, Director Dodd.
Good evening, Commissioners. We'll start tonight's report off with our Plainview Public Health and Safety Building. As discussed last month, the GMP proposal has been confirmed and accepted at $8,534,477. The grading pre-construction meeting was held Tuesday, August the 20th, 2024, with our Planning and Engineering Department. American finalized and distributed the construction schedule August the 22nd, 2024. We anticipate TDEC to issue stormwater permitting by the end of next week. Site grading work will follow. The contractor is currently mobilizing in preparation for erosion control. The projected construction start date has been scheduled for September the 3rd, 2024. And that will complete my report for the Plainview Public Health and Safety Building.
Any questions on Plainview? If not, continue.
Our update this month for the Recovery Court as follows. On August the 13th, 2024, 5 bids were submitted to the Purchasing Committee for review. The bids ranged from $801,500 to $1,317,000 and $139, and were taken under advisement. On August the 27th, 2024, after a thorough vetting process, KSA issued a letter of recommendation to award FTM Contracting the project at a bid price of $801,500. KSA has worked with FTM Contracting in the past on several successful Tennessee State projects, and they have proven to be a competent contractor. The Purchasing Committee members each received a document outlining past and current projects that we use to evaluate during the vetting process. The architect has received a confirmation and acceptance letter from FTM confirming their bid amount. The architect will follow up within the next 2 to 4 weeks with permitting and a potential construction schedule. And that will complete my report on the Recovery Court Center.
Any questions on Recovery Court? Commissioner Irvin? Proceed on.
The Juvenile Justice Center. The jail cell restorations were completed on August the 8th, 2024. The curing process per manufacturer's recommendations expires tomorrow, August the 30th. The juvenile administrative staff are aware of this timeline and are scheduled to begin full operations, as well as the ability to occupy that entire space without restrictions. Juvenile Courtroom B, the ceiling tile installation is now complete. And this will close the report on the Juvenile Justice Center related to our site visit 3 months ago.
Any questions for Adam? Commissioner Davidson?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you, and it looks very nice. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move forward. The contract with the recycling center renovation, the contractor made a lot of progress over the last 4 weeks. This project is now approximately 70% complete. The roof, the fascia, and the soffit are now complete. The electrical, the mechanical rough-in, and the equipment installation are complete. Window and exterior door installation remain at 90% pending door hardware and lock assemblies. The interior stud walls and framing are complete. Wall coverings and paint are ongoing at approximately 80% complete, awaiting final coats and trim out. The ceiling grid and the lighting are now complete. The interior floor coverings are now complete. Millwork and cabinets are ongoing at approximately 50%. Our 4 weeks look ahead: completion of paint and interior epoxy floor finishes, plumbing fixtures and countertops, signage and cleanup. And that completes this month's report for the Recycle Center.
Any questions?
Haley Road, yes, sir.
Any questions for Adam? All right, thank you for the report. Very good report.
Chairman,
Go ahead.
just before you leave, you may be coming back after Bishop, but also wanted, Laura mentioned how good these buildings look, but also the Singer Road property looks great. It got mowed after our concerns of driving by it, and I drove by a few days ago, and just part of it was done, and then I went by again this morning or yesterday, whenever. Looks great. Yeah. Yeah, change across the gate. So thank you for that effort. And I think Mr. Jeff Pate was your bush hogger?
Correct. He was, we contacted him, and we told him, you know, we kind of expressed kind of the urgency, and he was more than happy to work with the county to move his schedule around to get out there and do an excellent job. And depending on how the decisions that are made from the previous presentation, regardless, as long as the county owns that property, we will do this on a reoccurring schedule. So we'll probably look to cut this property in the spring and in the fall each year until a decision is made.
Other questions on it? Well, thank you. Next on the agenda, transfer station update, Bishop Wagner. And Adam, you may want to just stay up here.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Bishop Wagner. I'm your Solid Waste Director. I got some imagery here from the current progress and status of the Rutherford County Solid Waste Transfer Station located at 6000 Landfill Road. This view here that you see is looking down onto the property as you're facing the entranceway into the facility. It gives a pretty good shot of what it looks like today. I think these images were taken this week. There is a site work shot of the footers and some of the wall work that's being done. The footers are completely poured around the outside of the station, and they're working on erecting the walls, and they plan on pouring them next week. Another shot of the footers in particular. Those footers are 2 feet thick. They are heavily reinforced with rebar. A shot of the site work that's being done out there. They're currently in the midst of putting the storm pipe in, the concrete storm pipe, and some of the storm structures. There's another shot of the storm structures on the line. This isn't actually my presentation. I had one that I'd provided. I don't know. Those are really nice pictures, though. I know that place. It's a pretty nice place. There's my presentation. Okay. So now that we've seen the pictures, let's look at what the site's supposed to look like here. So we're going to talk about the grading and utility site work, the structural construction progress, and the project components and the bid status update. So here is the transfer station overview. This is the conceptual view of the site. If you look up to the northeast corner over there, when we saw that first image earlier of the concrete and us coming in, that's as if you're standing there looking down on the site. The scale building, traffic will drive up to the scale building there. That's in the kind of the center of that image next to the river. Trucks will be weighed in on one side and weighed out on the other, and then they will turn right into what is a heavy-duty concrete area before they dispose of their waste within the building. To the northeast of the transfer station building is a 1,200 square foot office building. That is also a structure as part of the project. And at the southern part of the picture there, you can see there's a fueling station. That station will be utilized just for Rutherford County solid waste vehicles with 8,000 gallon capacity. Here's a more detailed plan style drawing of the same image to kind of give you an idea of the area in the center there with the big lines on it. That's a truck parking, for trailer parking or trailer storage. The area that's depicted over there toward the northwest, kind of those extra diagonal lines over there, that's future, that's just gravel there. There's not going to be lined or parking there. It's just something that's set there for a future expansion should we need that spot, but there'll be gravel there. So here is the design plan overview of the transfer station as it's designed, along with a conceptual rendition of what it'll look like basically when it's completed. This is a two-bay station, so it has two load bays. One of them is designed to have a compactor setup where they compact the garbage into what are called tube receivers. And the other is an open top for 53-foot open trailers to be loaded on the other side. So the farther away station, those are about from the wall to the top is about 14 feet to the bottom of the base there from where the material is loaded. And there are 5 entrance bays there at the south of the facility there that trucks will be able to enter and exit, enter and dump and exit, and they're heavily reinforced columns that are in the center of it. That little area to the right there is there's a restroom facilities there. There's basically a pump house for the fire suppression and any of that type of equipment, and then there's a room for all of the electronics. This is the floor plan of the office building. The office building will have 3 offices in it, a reception area and 2 bathrooms, and then a training/break area on the back at 1,200 square feet. This is the scale house building, which will have scales located on either side of it. The little window there, this is as if you're coming onto the scales. They'll have a kiosk that people that have accounts with the county can either key in their number or use a card depending upon how they're set up. Then they go over the scales, the trucks are weighed, then they'll go in and they'll do their dump. They'll come back over, and if we don't have tare weight on the vehicle, they'll weigh out. If we do have tare weight, they can bypass the exit scale because we'll know what the weight of the vehicle is. Then they're charged based on the weight of the waste that they've disposed of. So here are the to dates. The bid for this there's 2 of 4 components on this project. Right now, the 2 components that have been bid out and contracted are the site work and the structural work. Moody Construction is doing the site work. Their original bid is $5,377,730. the pay application data that's in there from August 9th had so far $1,717,608.11 has been paid out. It's a little higher than that now. I've got an update from Michael after I created this. It's less than $2 million right now. And Boyce Ballard has construction. They're the ones that are actually putting the transfer station together, and their original bid was $7,330,000, and to date they've had a payout of $406,000 on the project. Here's some more pictures of the storm utility. This is all done. The other two components that are out to bid, and one of them has been received and is under advisement, are the landfill road portion of the project to beef that road up and get it ready for the traffic, and then there's the utilities connection portion where we'll be attaching to the utilities that the city of Murfreesboro will provide. So this is the status of our active bids. On August 27th, the bids were received for the landfill road improvement, and they'll be under advisement until September 10th. And then utility connection project, the pre-construction meeting was held on the 27th out there at my office, and those bids are scheduled to be received, I believe it's at 2 o'clock on September 10th. Any questions?
Commissioner Phillips?
Bishop, can you explain the relationship between the engineering part of this and our planning department? Did they have any input as far as the engineering, design, floodwaters, retention ponds, those kind of things? Who did all that?
So the engineering and site design was done primarily by SEC Engineering. However, they're in contact with our planning and engineering department every step of the way. We have monthly meetings, update meetings that we have with both the architects and the site work. We actually have representation from planning and engineering that goes out and is overlooking the site work from Mike Hughes' office. So yeah, we're in communication, and they're with us every step of the way on as we go.
Outstanding, thank you.
Commissioner Johnson?
Thinking I heard in a previous meeting, I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was full reclamation of the road. Was that correct? And did that mean, in my mind, I'm thinking that means we're going to go in, the whole road coming in, we're going to take, whoever did the bid, will take everything up and just put a whole new bed and everything down? Is that what that meant?
So full depth reclamation is the type of request that was put out in the bid in the RFP for it, and it's a method where basically you use this wheel grinder. It grinds down to base, and then immediately behind it, that aggregate is mixed with a concrete base it's a speedy way to reclaim a road if the road is suitable. So we're looking at those bids that were received now, and we'll know more about if that plan is going to continue to work for the county in our needs, or if there's something else that we'll have to do.
It's sort of like what we're seeing on Asheville Highway right now. It's not as in-depth as what I thought, is taking the whole base up and everything, like you didn't have a road, you start over.
It'll go down. It takes up everything down to stone, and then it replaces it with, basically it turns an old road into a new road using the existing materials without having to add a whole lot of new material into it. There have been some projects that have been done in the county that this method has been used, but it's not something that's done a whole lot or real frequently.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I meant to ask, I don't remember hearing that we had a project manager. Are you overseeing that, like as far as the transfer station and keeping up with like the day-to-day, making sure it's correct?
So project management on this is done a little different than it's been done in the past. Yes, I'm involved in the project, and I oversee and get reports regularly. We are doing, because there are so many components to this project. We have contractors, of course, Lewis Structural Contractor, and currently we have the site work contractors. We also have, representation from the county in their activities with Mike's office, and Adam has attended his first on-site meeting today as well. So we have checks and balances in place to be able to review each step of the way, but it's one of the things that's challenging in a project like this, especially with so many moving parts, is getting everybody on the same page to make sure, for example, that a pipe that's on the site work drawing is in the same location that is on the architect's drawing, and that they're marrying up so that their timelines can meet. And the mayor's office, the leadership staff from the department heads that are involved have really worked together with the contractors to try to overcome obstacles as they come up. And so far, I'm pleased with the progress and the way that we've been communicating.
Any other questions?
So from what I've just heard, I think is there's not a project manager.
Well, there are multiple project managers because there are multiple projects. So there's not an authority over the entire project. There is a structural project manager, which is represented by the architectural firm KSA, and then there is the site work project management that is represented by SEC, and then the county is making sure that they're talking to each other so that the project gets done according to its timelines.
And who at the county is making sure that everybody's talking to each other?
I am making sure.
Okay, so just run through a couple other things. Who reviews the bids and the amounts to make sure everything matches up with the amount as expected in the original bid, so that at the end of the day, it kind of goes to, I'm kind of curious, since it came up now, what the process is, number one, for kind of keeping track of the budget and making sure that we're not going to run over. Have you or anybody else on the project team seen anything that would indicate there may be an overrun?
Maybe, excuse me, I didn't
An
catch-
overrun in the cost?
No, actually, we are under budget currently, and
Okay.
we're on our timeline. To answer your question, I review, Michael Smith reviews, Adam, as of today, is also in the loop on reviewing these. We get these sent to us. The mayor's office also gets these. There are multiple eyes that are on this to ensure that they're sticking to their agreement. And we've had a change order. The change order that we've had so far was a reduction, was a cost added.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you all.
Any questions, Adam?
Wait a minute, if I could ask a
Go ahead,
question.
Commissioner Phillips.
And if I could have a little leeway, Bishop, the purchasing committee on Tuesday started the whole management and operation of the transfer station anew. In essence, the RFP was discussed, the opening of the bids were recreated. The waste management, which was the only bidder, was taken under advisement and forwarded to our our Public Works Committee for review. Purchasing Committee specifically asked you to present that contract to Public Works next Tuesday. You're aware of all this?
Yes, sir, I am.
You're comfortable with this?
As comfortable as I could be. No, I'm prepared.
That, once again, the reason would be to kind of start this process anew. And when purchasing normally takes something under advisement, it's the property head, it's the department head that usually examines those contracts with input from others and comes back and makes a recommendation. So that's the reason that the purchasing committee chose you to do that. And this commissioner, and I know there are several others that would really like for you to compare the RFP that was put together and make sure that the contract meets all the RFP requirements. And if there's any differences in those that might have created additional bids other than waste management, take a special look at that. And would like for, or this commissioner would like for you to make sure that those comparisons are coming from you as the department head. Understood?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, any other questions? But I'd like to add one more to what you stated, is that I would like Director Dodd to be involved and review with you. Director Dodd reports to this committee. If there's anything that this committee need to know, I'm pretty sure Director Dodd will get it to me. So I would like Director Dodd to be involved in these discussions. Apparently he's on board because he was there today, and I would like to see him being involved throughout this project.
I like working with Director Dodd, so I'm happy about that.
Any other discussion? Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you.
Good report. Any other business to bring before the committee?
Just one other thing, and I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but Adam, if you could maybe next month kind of tell the committee who makes the decision to go through our public building authority or not go through the public building authority, and why do we do sometimes and why do we not do sometimes. There's been a little confusion, especially over the last year or more, as to why our public building authority was not involved in a couple of projects. So if you could kind of clarify that for us as to who makes those decisions and why they're made at times. Not on the spot right now, but so you can think about it. Thank you.
Can you come back to this committee with an answer next month? All right, thank you. Any other discussion? If not, declare Property Management Committee adjourned.